everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you have all had a wonderful 2023. I am filming this on New Year's Day, so Happy New Year, and I hope 2024 brings you everything that you hope for. I do have some goals, and I'll probably talk about those in another video, but for today's video, we're going to be talking about books. I do plan on doing a wrap-up of all the books I read in 2023, but I haven't collated everything yet, so that's going to take some time. But today I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about the 50 books I plan to read off my shelves in 2024. So I'm going to set myself a Goodreads goal of around 60 books, so I can kind of listen to some audiobooks and maybe read some that aren't on my shelves. But the goal is to try and complete this 50 reads off my shelves challenge that I'm setting myself, because last year I did not complete it. Quite a lot of the books that are on this list I think were on last year's as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about the books I have got and crack on with it, basically. I did speak to my lovely friend Nikki, and I asked her to select 12 numbers between 1 and 50 to give me a book of the month. So she has done that for me. I have the numbers that she has selected, and they have collated to the list of books I have written, and each month I will choose one of those books to be my book of the month that I am going to try and read above all the others I choose. But generally there will be that one book plus another 3 from the 50. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to get into it. I'm going to show you the books, and then I will talk about the books I have selected to read myself in January. I am planning on doing this as kind of like a mood reading year. I want to go back and read some favourites, preferably more that aren't on this list if possible, but we'll get into that a little bit later. For now, let's get on with the 50 books that I have chosen. So I've got a stack here, and I've got a stack there, and I've got the second shelf to talk about as well. So I'm just going to briefly show you each of the books. So first up, we have the Best Love Winnie the Pooh stories by A.A. Milne. I haven't read any of these off the top of my head, I don't think, for a long time. I might have listened to an audiobook a couple of years ago, but I really want to get back into them and just give them a go, because I loved them as a child. So there's that. I have The World of Peter Rabbit and Friends, a complete story collection. So my parents did up my room as a baby in everything Peter Rabbit, so I do still have some of the bedding and stuff from when I was little. So yes, I am planning on reading this, as I haven't. Oh. Next up is The Night Before Christmas by Alex Pine. Alex Pine kind of writes winter-themed detective thrillers following the same detective. And I have read his other 3. This is the 4th one. And it just says, when 4 trail hunters go missing in the fells of Cumbria on Christmas Eve, the race is on to find them before nightfall when the temperature plummets. So there's that one. Next up is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure. But I watched the Netflix mini-series of this and really enjoyed it, and I really wanted more from that world. And so when I found out it was based on a book, I was really excited, and I asked for this for Christmas. So it follows Marie, who is a blind French girl, and I believe she's French, actually. I've said that. Yeah, I believe she is French. And a boy called Werner, who has been taken in by the Hitler Youth and then becomes a Nazi soldier, I guess. And it is basically about how they communicate with each other through radio broadcasts and various different things. But yes, I'm very excited to give this a read. It's a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be, but I'm hoping that means that I get a bit more from Marie and Werner's story, so that I can kind of piece bits together myself. It's very lovely having a mini-series, but I wanted more from the ending, so I'm hoping the book will give me this. So there's that. Next up, I have all 3 books in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series by Toshikazu. I'm going to put it at that because I don't want to butcher it, because that would be awful. But I have Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Calf, and Before Your Memory Fades. And this basically is about a cafe that you can go to, and you can travel back to a memory in time, but you have to return back to the cafe before the coffee gets cold. So he has just brought out a fourth book, and I really wanted to get it, but it's in hardback and I'm waiting for paperback. So yes, I have put these 3 on my shelf. And next up is The Lock-In by Phoebe Luckhurst. This follows 2 best friends, and they get locked in their attic with their housemate Jack, and basically there's obviously some sort of triangle that's going to occur here. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it, but I thought we'll give it a go and see. I picked it up in Tesco's, I think, and was excited about it a few months back. So yes, that's on the list. I have tried to pick quite a few like chick lit romancy ones, because they do predominantly take up a big space on my shelves, so that's why they're there. Next up, I have the Talia Hibbert series, the Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Take a Hint, Danny Brown, At Your Age, Eve Brown. I did try and read Chloe Brown, I think last year, and I don't know why I didn't feel particularly motivated into reading it, but I did give up a couple of chapters in, and it wasn't because of the book. I think I had a lot going on last year. I got married, there was a lot of wedding planning, my mental health was a bit, and reading took a flop. So I have popped these back on to read this year, and I'm quite excited for them because I know that when they first came out there was quite a lot of hype, so I am excited to read these. Go back up there. This one's kind of a curveball, I guess. It's One Night on the Island by Josie Silver, and it's about a girl who writes dating columns, and no, I've got that wrong. Cleo writes about love stories every day. She just isn't living one of her own. When the editor of her dating column asks her to marry herself on a remote Irish island, a sensational piece of Mark Cleo's 30th birthday. Cleo agrees. I've got that very confused. But yes, it's One Night on the Island. So that's there. I butchered that. Ignore that. But yeah, I've put it on. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to enjoy it, but we'll give it a try. Then next up is With This Kiss by Carrie Hope Fletcher. I was very excited for this one to come out, and I even pre-ordered it on Amazon. So it says, from the outside, Lorelei is an ordinary young woman with a normal life. She loves reading, she works at the local cinema, and she adores living with her best friend. But she carries a painful burden. Whenever she kisses someone on the lips, she sees how they're going to die. So I was very excited about this one to come out. I love Carrie Hope Fletcher's writing, and yeah, I was excited to see this one out. So there's that. Right, let's move on to the next stack. Oh gosh, there's a lot here. Here we go. Okay, right. So the first one I have is Sally Thorne's Second First Impressions. Sally Thorne wrote The Hating Game, and I absolutely loved that. So this one follows Ruthie, who works in a retirement, like residential retirement village, and Teddy, who comes in to be their newest employee. I think it is going to be a lovers to hate, or hate to lovers, you know what I mean. It's going to be one of those. I did try reading it a couple of times last year and really just couldn't get into it, so that's why I've popped it back on this list for this year. Next up, I have Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. I picked this up in Tesco's because I really liked the cover. There was something exciting about it that really drew me in, so that's why I picked it up. It just says, PhD candidate Phoebe Walsh has always been obsessed with true crime. She's even analysing the genre in her dissertation. If she can manage to finish writing it, it's hard to find the time while she spends summer in Florida cleaning out her childhood home. It doesn't help that she's low-key convinced that her new neighbour, Sam Dennings, is a serial killer. I've paraphrased. But yeah, I'm excited to give this a read. So there's that one. Next up is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I remember hearing about this one and everyone saying how sad it made them. So I'm not really sure when I'm going to pick this one up to read. I do love a crier book, but some of them cut a little bit too deep. And I finished Sarah J Maas's Throne of Glass series last year, and it took me like a whole month to get over it. Like, my brain was just in that world for about 3 days. So yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about Sad Book. But it says, at 13, you were my first real friend. At 15, you were my first love. At 18, you were my everything. We were about to take on the world together until one mistake shattered our future. So yeah, there's that one. Next up is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I watched the film of this and did not see the things that happening. And when I saw it was a book, I was like, right, let's give it a go. But I have heard the book maybe falls a little bit flat. So let me know if you agree with that or not. Yes, I've popped it on here to give it a go. So there's that one. Next up is You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. I read her... I'm trying to think what one it was that I read last year. Is it going to be written in here? I don't think it was Beach Read. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Beach Read. Whatever other one it is that she did, I read that. But it says, 12 summers ago, Poppy and Alex met. They hate each other and they're pretty confident they'll never speak again. 11 summers ago, they're forced to share a ride home from college, and by the end of it, a pact is formed. Every year, one vacation together. 10 summers ago, Alex discovers his fear of flying. Poppy holds his hand the whole way. 7 summers ago, they get far too drunk and narrowly avoid getting matching tattoos in New Orleans. 2 summers ago, it all goes wrong. This summer, Poppy asks Alex to join her on one last trip. Could this trip make them realise they're not just friends after all? So yeah, I'm excited for that. I have heard good things about it, and I know I really enjoyed Emily Henry's last book that I read. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. Next up is one that my dad gave me, and I'm not sure if I'm going to love it or not. It's The Dig by John Preston. So it follows kind of the story of Sutton Hoo and the dig that they found, or that they started there. I watched I want to say it was a series, but it might have been a film that I'm pretty sure was on Netflix. And I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed seeing like the history around it. So I think when Dad saw this in a charity shop, he picked it up for me. So yeah, we'll give it a go. There's that one. Next up, I have these ones by Helen Huang. So I have The Heart Principle, The Bride Test, and The Kiss Quotient. These were quite big last year, maybe even the year before, and I'd never got round to them, so that's why they're on this list. Ooh, no, that pile is getting quite precarious, so we're just gonna hope it doesn't fall on me. Next up is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I've heard good things about this one as well. So yeah, it's about a girl called Catalina who desperately needs a date to her sister's wedding. And yeah, I think it's going to be a love to hate thing again. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I've got Taylor Jenkins Reid, Maybe in Another Life, and One True Loves. I don't really know anything about these ones. I feel like I'm going to bore you guys by reading the backs, but I've heard good things about them. I read her Daisy Jones and the Six, and I enjoyed that. I do want to try and get to the seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo at some point. I need to put my teeth in. But yeah, these are the two I purchased. Oh, maybe last year or the year before. I want to say it was the year before. So yeah, that's why they're there. I have Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher. I did try and read this a couple of years ago, and I don't know why I stopped reading it, but I did. So yeah, we're gonna get back to it. It's Sophie May has a secret, one that she's kept successfully for years. It's meant she's had to give up on her dreams of going to university and traveling the world to stay in her little village, but then she meets the gorgeous Billy, an actor with an ambition to make it to the top. And when they fall in love, Sophie is whisked away from the comfort of her life into Billy's glamorous but ruthless world. I remember enjoying it. I just don't know why I stopped. So yeah, there's that one. Next up, I have a series starter. It's Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr. This has been on my shelves for, I genuinely don't know how long. I picked them up in a charity shop. This one was 50p. Yeah, I honestly don't know how long this has been on my shelves. But it says, Rule 3, never stare at invisible fairies. Aislinn has always seen fairies. Powerful and dangerous, they walk hidden in the mortal world. Rule 2, never speak to invisible fairies. One of them, a beautiful fairy boy named Keenan, is trying to talk to her, asking questions Aislinn is afraid to answer. Rule 1, don't ever attract their attention. Now it's too late. Keenan is the Summer King and is determined that Aislinn will become the Summer Queen at any costs. Without her, summer itself will perish. That sounds pretty good, actually. I haven't read the back of this for a really long time, but I'm excited to get into that. I do have a few series I want to finish this year, but that's why I've put a couple of the first books on as well. Just kind of give me an introduction, see if I enjoy them. If I do, then I can carry on with the series. If I don't, then I can declutter them and get some more space on my shelves. The next one, part of the series, is The Iron King by Julie Kagwa. I have all of the books in this series and they've been there for ages. Again, this one I picked up in a charity shop, 30p. What a bargain. Megan Chase has a secret destiny, one she could never have imagined. Something has always felt slightly off in Megan's life ever since her father disappeared before her eyes when she was 6. She has never fitted in at school or at home. When a dark stranger begins watching her from afar and her little brother is taken, Megan senses that everything she's known is about to change. She could never have guessed the truth. Megan is the daughter of a fairy king and a pawn in a deadly war. Now Megan will have to choose between a normal life and her magical destiny, and between her best friend and a darkly dangerous prince. It's time for Megan to enter the fairy world. I have heard good things about it. I do think it's quite old now. I actually don't know off the top of my head. I feel like it's quite old. 2010. There you go. So yeah, some fairy books. I do love a fairy book. I was hoping to read the A Court of Thorns and Roses series this year, but I know they're going to be good because Sarah J Maas's Throne of Glass series knocked me off my feet. So I feel like I just need a year where I need like a chilled set of series that isn't going to break my heart, and then I can get onto these bad boys. And then last from this shelf is Stuart Turton's The Devil and the Dark Water. Now, I read The 7 Deaths of Evelyn the Hardcastle, and I really enjoyed that book. And it's one that I've left on my shelves to reread at some point because it was a bit odd, and I feel like I need to go back for it again. But this one sounds really good as well. It's 1634, and Samuel Phipps, the world's greatest detective, is being transported to Amsterdam to be tried for a crime he may or may not have committed. So yeah, we'll give it a go. Right, I'm going to put these books back, and then I will get the next shelf down so that we can talk about those books. Okay, I'm back. I have the last stack from my shelves. I'm sorry about the lighting. There's nothing I can do about it. I've pulled the blind. It's not going to work. So yeah, let's carry on. So the next one I have is Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. Sorry, I'm having an issue with the stack on my shelf. It's wobbling about. So I believe this is the first book in a series. I want to say it's vampires. I'm not 100% sure. My aunt gave me this because she was getting rid of it at a car boot sale and nobody bought it. And I was like, oh, I could give it a go. So I took it home. So it says, Eleanor Michaels is your regular 21st century girl, self-assured, smart and fighting fit. She also just happens to be the only female werewolf in the world. Okay, maybe it's about werewolves then. It has some good points where she walks down a dark alley. She's the scary one, but now her pack, the one she abandoned so that she could live a normal life, are in trouble and they need her help. Is she willing to risk her life to help the ex-lover who betrayed her by turning her into a werewolf in the first place? And more to the point, does she have a choice? I thought it was vampires because it says makes Buffy look fluffy, but maybe it's got vampires in it as well. I don't know. So yeah, there's that one. I'm really sorry about the lighting. I don't think that might be slightly. Oh, I don't know. Let's go here. This seems better-ish if I stay over here. Next up, I have Midnight in Chernobyl by Adam Higginbotham. So the untold story of the world's greatest nuclear disaster. So yeah, it's hundreds of hours of interviews conducted over the course of more than 10 years, as well as letters, unpublished memoirs, and documents from the recently declassified archives. Yeah, so I watched the series they did on Chernobyl a few years back, and I loved it. I thought it was really good, really sad, and just very thought-provoking. So yeah, my dad bought this book when it came out, and he found it for me in a charity shop and left it on my front doorstep while I was at work because he was passing through. So yeah, there's that. There's that one. I don't have many true life ones. I think I've only got two, but they're both about things I've been quite interested in, so that's why they're there. Next up, I have the last three books in the Harry Potter series. So I have Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. I am still reading Goblet of Fire, and it's taken me a while. It took me a really long time to get through Prisoner of Azkaban. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I found the only thing easy to read was Smut last year. So I have been struggling to kind of get motivated by anything else. But I am really looking forward to finishing this series. And that's why I put these three on my 50 to read, as I've already started Goblet of Fire. So yeah, there's those ones. Next up, it's a book me and Nikki were reading as part of our buddy read. It's Frostbite, the second book in the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. I need to speak to Nikki and find out if she is continuing on with the series, or if I'm going to carry on solo and maybe we'll do another buddy read. I'm not sure, but I have popped this on here as I do want to continue reading the series this year. So there's that one. Next up is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood and Love on the Brain. Both of these I bought the year before last, and they've been sat here for too long. I need to just get on with them. Yeah, I've heard good things about both of those. You've Reached Sam by Dustin Teo. It says 17-year-old Judy Clark has her future all planned out, move out of her small town with her boyfriend Sam, attend college in the city, spend summer in Japan. But then Sam dies and everything changes. Again, this is another one I know is going to be sad, so I think it might be on my shelves for a little bit longer than it probably should, because I've heard really good things about it, but it's going to be sad. But I just love the cover. I think it's beautiful. It's a really lovely, yeah, really pretty cover. So there's that. Next up, I have My Best Friend's Girl by Dorothy Coomson. So this is a book I picked up last year. I think I got it for my birthday. I think Dre got it for me. And it's a really battered, sad-looking copy, but I picked it up because one of my best friends, Hannah, it is one of her favourite books. And I remember her talking about reading it years and years ago, and then I think last year she read it again, and we were talking about favourite books, and this one always pops up for her. So I really wanted to treat myself to a book that I knew somebody else loved, so that's why I chose this one. It says, best friends Cameron and Adele thought nothing would come between them until Adele did the unthinkable thing and slept with Cameron's fiance Nate. Worse still, she got pregnant and had his child. When Cameron discovered the truth about their betrayal, she vowed never to see any of them again. Years later, Cameron receives a letter from Adele asking her to visit her in hospital. Adele is dying and begs Cameron to adopt her daughter Tegan. With a great job and a hectic social life, the last thing Cameron needs is a 5-year-old to disrupt things, especially not one who reminds her of Nate. But with no one else to care for Tegan and Adele fading fast, does she have any other choice? So begins the difficult journey that leads Cameron towards forgiveness, love, responsibility, and ultimately a better understanding of herself. I do think this one is going to be sad, but I think also, yeah, I think it's going to be a good book. I trust in my friend Hannah to know that if she likes it, I probably will as well, because she introduced me to the Vampire Academy series and I have loved them for years. So yeah. Next up, I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. I was waiting for this one to come out on Libby for absolutely ages, and it still hasn't. So I bit the bullet and I ordered myself this very pretty copy. It says, where is it? France, 1714. A desperate woman makes a desperate deal in the dark. A bargain to live forever, but be remembered by no one. Sad. I think it's going to be a sad book. But yeah, there's that one. And then I just have a few more over here that I couldn't fit on my lap. Ooh. So first up, I have Never Look Away by Linwood Barclay. So this book I received as my Secret Santa present from work. The girls know me very well because they know that I absolutely adore a battered secondhand book. So my lovely friend Mary definitely delivered when I was gifted this. And I've decided that I don't have many thrillers on this list. So there had to be one somewhere, so I picked this one. It says, it starts with a trip to a local amusement park. David Harwood is hoping a carefree day with their young son will help dispel his wife Janet's recent depression. But Jan disappears, no one can find her, and when the police find no evidence that she was ever at the park, David's story starts to look suspicious. To prove his innocence and keep his son from being taken away from him, David must confront a terrifying possibility that someone is prepared to destroy him and his family in order to keep a dreadful secret. Bum, bum, bum. This one, well, where are we? The next 3 or 4, I think were actually on my list for last year. So I won't talk too much about them other than to show you what they are. So the first one is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. I put this on my December to read, and then just didn't get the chance. So yes, but I have heard very good things about this one, so I want to get to it sooner rather than later. I have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This one again has just sat there, but I know it's going to be a good one. It's that love to hate kind of relationship thing, so I'm looking forward to that. I have The Society for Soulless Girls by Laura Stephen. This was recommended to me by my lovely friend Nikki. Laura Stephen wrote the exact opposite of OK, and I really enjoyed that book. So I'm excited to see where she goes with a fantasy-esque. So there's that one. And then I have the Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. Erin Sterling wrote The Ex-Hex, and I absolutely adored that book, and I wanted to reread it last year and didn't get the chance. So that's why I put this one on, and then didn't get the chance. So that's why it's here again. There it is. And then lastly, just to double check, I have Defy the Night and Defend the Dawn. So there's actually 51 books on this list. If you've been counting, there's actually 51. Yes, so Defy the Night is kind of like a Robin Hood retelling, kind of, loosely linked. It says, in a kingdom where sickness stalks the streets and only the richest can afford a cure, King Harristan and his brother Prince Corrick are forced to rule with an iron fist. Tessa Cade is a masked outlaw marked for death, but she likes it that way. Together with the mysterious Handsome Weston, she robs from the rich to help the poor, distributing medicine to those who need it most. I loved this book, obsessed, loved this book. And when this one came out in September, I debated pulling a sickie from work so that I could read the next book. I didn't, because I'm a good person, but I really wanted to get the chance to read it this year. And I got married in September, and everything from kind of April to the end of the year went by the wayside. So I didn't get the chance. So I want to reread Defy the Night and then move on to Defend the Dawn. And then the third book is actually out this January. I have already pre-ordered it. So that's why these two are on the list, because I want to try and work in the third one as well. But yes, this one does have an honourable mention just because it's the 51st book. There wasn't any that I kind of wanted to take off from the original 50, so that's why there's 51. But as I said at the beginning, I do plan on reading around 60 books for my Goodreads goal, but these are the 51 off my shelf that I really want to get to this year. If you have any recommendations of ones that you think I need to read sooner rather than later, then please let me know, because I would love to put them higher kind of on the list to get to, without spoilers, please. But yeah, they're the books I plan on reading off my shelves. Nikki, as I said, selected 12 numbers for me between 1 and 50. She did pick the book number 1. So when I wrote down the books for the 50 in my reading journal, book number 1 is, oh, what can you see? Is Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher. As she picked number 1, I feel like that's a good place to start. So we are going to start with book number 1 as Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher as one of the first ones I plan on reading this year. I'm going to pop these books back. I'm going to select another 3 off my shelves to put in as my January reading. I do still have Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire that I am reading. So that is technically the 5th book for January. But yes, I'm going to pick 3 other books and share them with you in a minute. Bear with. Okay, so I've done it. I've picked my 5 books for the month of January. So obviously I've got Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher first, as it is my book of the month. I had to really go through and figure out which numbers Nikki had selected, so I didn't pick any of them for my other books to read. So once I finish this video, I do plan on going through and putting a little tab post-it note poking out of each one that I know is a book of the month, and then I will write down what ones they are going to be in my reading journal. So yeah, Billy and Me is the first one by Giovanna Fletcher. Next up, I kind of wanted to pick something kind of easy. So I've given myself The World of Peter Rabbit and Friends, because there's a few stories in it, but it's only, where are we? How many pages is it? 263 pages. So it's quite a short book, really, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, and then I thought I can read one every now and again throughout the month. So that's why I picked that one. Then I picked up House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. I chose this one purely because I had wanted to read it in December, and I didn't want to leave it until later on in the year. It is kind of a spooky book, I suppose. So I did plan on leaving it till kind of October, November time. But the cover's just cute. I want to read it now. So we're going to do that. I then chose Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson, purely for the cover. And I'm intrigued that she thinks her next door neighbour is a serial killer. So we'll give that a go. And then finally, I chose The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. As I said, I've heard good things about it. Bear with. Sorry about that. I've coughed up a lung and now I'm back. So yeah, as I said, I chose The Love Hypothesis. I've heard good things about it, and I have a lot of chick lit to get through this year. So that's why I've tried to pick a bit of a random selection to begin with. I'll give you that. But I think I need to make a bit of a dent on some of these chick lit ones. I'll read you the back because I didn't when I sort of spoke about it earlier, but it just says, when a fake relationship between scientists meets the irresistible force of attraction, it throws one woman's carefully calculated theories on love into chaos. Again, I think it's going to be a love to hate romance, which I've got to be honest, are kind of my favourites. I like those best. So yeah, they are the 5 books I have selected for my January reading. I am going to come back at the end of the month and do a reading wrap up. I might do that kind of as a 2023 reading wrap up as well. I'm not sure, but I will keep you guys updated. So yeah, that's everything from me. As I said, let me know if any of the books up there are ones you think I should get to sooner rather than later. And take care, and I will see you guys very soon.